Hi, my name is Keri Barnum. I'm the Executive Director for New Shelves Books, and we're here for Free Advice Friday, the hour every Friday where we get together to talk about book marketing, about publishing, and anything along the author journey. You can join us live at newshelves.com/FAF. You can also email your questions into info, at newshelves.com, and we will answer them live, and you can catch the YouTube replay. I can't talk this morning. And you can find YouTube just at youtube.com/newshelvesbooks. I hope that if you enjoy this program that you will go subscribe to the channel so you get notified when we do those replays, and also special little cameo shots of how-tos. For example, I did just release how to actually read Amazon ad data. And this coming week, we did a BookBub tutorial that's going up on that site. So if you missed that last week, it'll go up as a YouTube video. So that's there, and we do have some questions live. We're going to jump right into. Let's see, when you print your book with Ingram Spark, does that mean it will be distributed by Ingram? Is that the same thing? So yes, that is the same thing, but there are two different options. So if you print your book with Ingram Spark has a relationship with Ingram, and they will get your book over to Ingram Wholesale, and yes, your book will be distributed through Ingram Wholesale, which means it's for sale. It will ship directly from Ingram Wholesale. Now, that's different than actually having Ingram as one of your distributors, in the sense that you are using Ingram Spark to get there. Whereas if Ingram Spark is your direct distributor, that means you would have a personal relationship with them, an account with them, and typically you're actually shipping books to them yourself. So the short answer is yes, but depending on how deep you want to dig, you can get a little more nuance than that. But overall, yes, Ingram is working as your distributor. Your book is available from Ingram Wholesale if your book is available from Ingram Spark. How's that for a Keri answer? Yeah, it's super easy, but then let me give you 5 different answers. I can't help it. All right, Mary's asking, could you talk a little bit about choosing keywords? Mary, would you let me know, are we talking about keywords for metadata? Are we talking keywords for Amazon ads? Where are you hoping to use these keywords? Because there are several different kinds of keywords that you can use. For example, you can use keywords in your metadata on Amazon and in KDP when you're setting up a book. You typically have spot for 7 different keywords, 7 different keyword phrases, actually, because you can have up to 50 characters. So that may be based on your book. It may be ghost stories. It may be It may be ghost stories. It may be paranormal suspense. It may be romantic adventure, or I don't know, grief of a loved one, that kind of thing. So essentially what it is we're thinking of keywords, and we're thinking of phrases for Amazon and KDP specifically. You've got 7 spots for those metadata keywords, which is what you are asking about. And for those, what we're doing is we're really trying to find keywords that if someone's searching them on Amazon would help lead them to your book. So we want 2 things. We want keywords that really tie into your book themes, but we also want to make sure that we have keywords that people are actually using. I had someone who wanted to use a keyword that was this really long word. I'm not even going to try to say it. It was actually a place. It was a really long, place. They were like, oh, well, no one really knows about it unless they specialize in this field. And I said, well, that's not your audience, though. I understand that it ties into your book, but if your reader's never going to search that term or not search it often, it doesn't make a great keyword. So you do have to think of that as well. Think in terms of how people search, how you search for products. I was reading, actually, I listened, the Authors Guild. The Authors Guild had a Q&A panel about Amazon ads, and someone there, I think they're from Ingram Spark, said that their research had shown that around 85% of searches for products start on Amazon, and that a really high range of those people start with searches and then they actually buy based on those searches. So you have to think of how your reader is going to search a book. Are they going to go to the search bar in Amazon, and are they going to type, I don't know, private investigator mystery series? I could see someone searching that. Are they going to say private eye investigator set in Indiana? Probably not. That's going to take a very special reader, or they already have to know about your book. So when you're thinking about these things, you do want to kind of think about being specific and niche enough, but not going so specific that you actually miss your target. And I know that's kind of like a very sweet spot, but those are the things that as an author and as the publisher, if you're an indie author, you really do have to think about. And when doing keywords, you can literally just go through this process yourself, look at other books, see the kind of keywords that are popping up in theirs as far as what's showing up in their description, what themes or tropes are you seeing? What are you seeing? Sometimes you'll see in the, not the subgenre, the subtitle. Sometimes in the subtitle spot, especially for indie books, you will see kind of a string of keywords rather than like an actual subtitle. Those are keywords. That's like an indie hack for getting more keywords in. And sometimes you can find some really great keywords and metadata keywords in that spot. Now, if you're using metadata keywords on Ingram Spark, it's a little bit different. You are not going for full out phrases. You are going for very sharp keywords. Private investigator, mystery series, veteran, war vet. You are going for shorter, more intense keywords because that is how the metadata system on Ingram Spark works. And that's how it works when they push out to Ingram Wholesale, when they're pushing out to Barnes and Noble and all of those different places. So you do have to treat them a little bit differently. But in all things, make sure that you are going niche. You don't want to just say mysteries. Well, lots of people are going to be using mysteries for a keyword, number one. Number two, it's really broad. There are cozy mysteries. There are murder mysteries. There are, there are overseas mysteries. There are mystery thrillers, suspense mysteries. There are historical mysteries, and we run the gamut. I could sit here all day. So what you do want to do is go a little bit deeper, but again, what will your reader think to search? Your reader's probably not going to think to search 1883 historical mystery Civil War. I mean, that's just a bit too deep for the average reader to easily find you. So those are the things that I would think about as you're searching your keywords. Again, you can do this on your own. There are some terrific resources for authors and keywords. One of my favorites is Publisher Rocket. Publisher Rocket was put out from Dave Chesson, and I use it for some of my metadata keyword search as well as keyword searches for Amazon ads. And on the New Shelves blog, I do have a whole blog about keywords for authors, and I give you some resources of where I do my keyword research. So if you go to the New Shelves blog and you just search keywords, it will pop up, but I will also drop it right here in the chat box for anyone who's live, so you can go over to that blog and check that out. All right, Kate's asking, I'm filling out a lengthy form for an agent. Should I include my indies along with traditional publishers? Name my name of my publishers. Kate, it depends on what the form is for. Is this an agent you're already working for or with? Is this an agent you're pitching? And what's the focus? If they ask for all of your published titles, well, then you want to give them all of your published titles. If they are asking for the published titles that relate to the current title that you're working with or pitching, then you want to stick there. So I think we need a little bit more information. And if they ask, what who has published your books, well then yeah, I'd go ahead and list your indie pub books because they're on there and you don't want to not list them and it feel like you're trying to be sneaky. That's never going to go over well. So I would go ahead and list those, unless again, if it's like something where they say, what books have you published recently that relate to this genre? But usually they want to know all your books. They want to see what kind of platform and audience you have. So I would tend to list them all. All right, I do have those questions from last week and I want to go back and just grab those. Let's see. We answered that one. All right. Do you have a list of respected book award submissions? So Nancy, I know you asked this last week as far as book awards, and we have talked about this before. I personally really love the the Ally. Ally has a book award watchdog list that is not totally inclusive. They don't have every single award system. However, there are a lot of awards and contests that have been rated by Ally for like their credibility and safety and all of that. I personally really love that system. I think it's something that is very usable and it's free. So I'm going to drop that over into the chat. Again, I won't spend too much time on that because I know we've gone over that before, but this is a free resource and you can find it at selfpublishingadvice.org. And it's simply the award contest and it's an award contest watchdog desk from Ally, ALLI, which is the Alliance of Independent Authors. And so I think that's a great place to start. And then of course, I think some of the easiest things to do are simply to go and do a Google search, do your genre and do an award or contest search, and then do your due diligence and see what pops up. I also know quite a few people will use Book Award Pro, which is a program that helps you find awards and you can actually pay them to submit your book for awards. So Book Award Pro, and they just announced that they have a free option as well. Let me share my screen because I don't think we've ever talked about them before. All right, so Book Award Pro is a company that will help you find book awards for your book. They actually help search it out and you can pay them to actually submit those awards, which takes kind of the pressure off your back to do that. And so there are different options here ranging by the month from $15 to $199 a month. So there are different tiers of what you get, where some of them actually submit for you and they track and manage, and some are simply just finding and matching you with different awards. But there is a free option. So you can at least see the award opportunities for your book. And this is new that it's free, so I think that's a good resource. And then I've heard some great experience of people who do use the paid version. And I've talked about this before. I think, you know, you've either got time, hopefully, when marketing a book, you need time or money to invest. And if you have some money to invest in this for book awards, but you don't have the time, I think this is a great service that's very helpful for authors. I've heard good things. But of course, it's not free because you're paying for someone's time and expertise, not only to find those awards for you, but to pitch your book to those awards if you're going on the higher tier. And just know, just because you get pitched does not mean you'll make it as a finalist. It does not mean you'll win, but it does give you the opportunity. So I do think that Book Award Pro is kind of a nice option that you should look into if you're looking for awards. Let's see. All right. When is the ideal time to do a Goodreads giveaway pre-launch, and is an ebook as good as print? Good question, Shira. So ideally, when doing a Goodreads giveaway, you want to run it so that it ends a week or two before your launch date. Typically, a Goodreads giveaway can last as long as 30 days. Most people recommend you stick around the 2-week to 30-day mark. Completely up to you. I will say I had read something that the best days to upload or start that were Wednesdays. I don't know how true that is, but I had heard that, but that a lot of people tend to be on there on Wednesday. And also around the first of the month. A lot of people will kind of check each month. But you want your book giveaway on Goodreads to end about a week or two before your launch. And the reason why is when you run a Goodreads giveaway, anyone who enters the giveaway has to put your book on their to read shelf. That's how they enter. And when they do that, they're essentially saying, I want notifications about this book. And depending on how their Goodreads notifications are set up, if they add your book to their to read pile, when the book comes out, they will either get a notification directly on Goodreads or even an email from Goodreads saying a book on your to read shelf is now available with sales links attached, which is a huge value. In my opinion, that's one of the best values of a Goodreads giveaway. There are two options for Goodreads giveaway, the $119 option and the $599 option. I will say that I've both used as well as heard lots of feedback, some directly from Goodreads employees who say, don't do the $599 option. It is not worth it. You are just as well off with the $119, and that will get you great exposure. As far as ebooks versus print, I will personally say that I see more submissions with print books than ebook giveaways. I think ebooks are easier, so a lot of people do them. So print just kind of stands out as like, oh, I'm going to get a actual book, and that's not as common anymore. So I think people value that. When doing print editions, you don't have to do 10 copies, 50 copies. I typically recommend 3 to 5 copies. That's it. So if your printing cost at Ingram Spark or at Amazon is $5 per copy, well, then it's going to cost you like 15, maybe 20 bucks for those books. I personally recommend you do US only if you're in the US, so you can mail out via media mail. Or you can kind of hack it. And what you can do is you can, once the book comes out, because again, you're ending this giveaway pretty darn close to your launch day. When your book comes out, you can simply choose to ship the book, buy Prime, buy your book from Amazon Prime, ship it as a gift to the winner. And by the time all the shipping and the hassle and everything is done, it equals about to the same, and they get it in 2 days really quickly. And it can come with a nice gift note from you that says, thank you for joining the Goodreads giveaway for great intervention. I hope you enjoyed the book, and I'd love your feedback with your information. You can make it really short and sweet, and that's a good way to get those books out quickly. So you can do both options, but I do recommend print. Now, with that said, ebooks still get submissions for sure. When doing ebooks, oftentimes you'll see people do around 50 ebook giveaways, which does give you a better chance at winning, but also doesn't feel quite as special. So, I mean, give or take, it just depends on you. When you do an ebook giveaway, it does hook in directly to your KDP account so that when the winners are chosen, it hooks directly into KDP and just sends those ebooks to them right away. And you just kind of give them away. It doesn't cost you anything more there. As far as I know, Walt, you cannot combine an ebook and print giveaway. You can do an ebook and a print giveaway, but it would be 2 separate giveaways. And I have seen people do that. Like maybe they're going to do the print giveaway 2 months before launch, and they're going to send out art copies because they have some pre-printed copies, and they're going to media mail them out. And that way they'll get there a little bit earlier. Smacking my desk around. And then maybe they're going to run an ebook giveaway closer to the launch, simply to try to get people to read it right when the book launches and kind of spiff up their reviews. So you could do that. Of course, then it's double the cost, so 119 times 2, so you're looking at a little bit more, and then of course your cost of print. So it just depends on how much budget you have for that, and what your strategy is. Again, if this is a standalone book or a first in series, you're going to have more luck than if this is a 5th book in series, unless you're a super popular, well-known author. All right, Cher, I see your question. I'll answer it in just 1 second. And Helene's asking, Helene is new to Free Advice Friday, so welcome, Helene, and thanks for joining us. And you'd like to know if you cover how to find an agent. So we do sometimes talk about finding an agent. And in fact, I've been meaning to actually contact an agent friend of mine and see if she would come on. to make a note for myself because it's about that time. We do have special guests from time to time, ranging from agents to librarians and the whole gamut. And as far as finding an agent, the best ways are really going to be either your direct connections through places like sometimes social media, if you're really in the know with them, but more like conferences and Query Tracker. Query Tracker is where most agents are going to directly be taking submissions, but you can also, again, always follow what's trending, especially on Twitter. Twitter is a big spot for agents, and when they are accepting queries or submissions, they will often post that, and they will also post what genres they are taking. The other thing that I would consider if you're trying to pitch an agent is go do some research in your genre. Go find some comps that are semi like yours. Go find some books that are in your genre and try to find out that author's agent and pitch them directly, because many agents do specialize in certain genres. So if you can go to someone who's going to be a good fit for your book, you're more likely to get a yes. Also, when we're talking about querying, please know you've got to query a lot of people. I had someone very disappointed, just so disappointed that she queried 13 people and she only got one full request and one partial and nothing else. And I was like, that's kind of amazing. You got 2 responses out of 13 queries. There are a lot of agents who either don't respond or will take months to respond, because when they open their queries, I have many agent friends and they're like, I opened my queries last week and I've already got over 2,000 submissions. It's going to take my assistant weeks to sort through those. So that's oftentimes why you will see agents who kind of open and close queries from time to time, is because when they open queries, they get a lot in. And no, it's not always that agent who is personally going through your query. More often than not, it's an intern or an assistant who's vetting through based on certain criteria, like, does this agent actually work in this genre? Do they like this genre? Do you have any personal connection? That kind of thing. And then from there, the agent will take it and go through it. So it can take a really long time to get a response. And sometimes you get no response. And no response typically is no. You can, of course, follow up, although I'd recommend that you give it at least 3 weeks before you follow up. And query, query, query. It's not going to hurt to query more people. In fact, many agents don't really put your query to the top of the slush pile until you have an offer from someone else. Once you get an offer from another agent, it is bad form to continue querying. You need to first respond to the agent that has, made you an offer. With that said, it is absolutely okay and recommended that once you have an agent who's interested, who makes you an offer, that you go back to every other agent that you have pitched that you don't have a response from, and you do a follow-up email within the subject line saying, offer on the table, following up. Because that tells them you already have an offer and you are following up with them to see if they're interested. And a lot of times that puts you to the top of the pile, and people actually will decide whether or not they want to work with you or at least do a request. And this is common. The person who made you an offer, the agent that made you an offer, should expect to wait a couple of days. Of course, you would tell them, I want to follow up with other opportunities, and just give them, a final note. And then can I let you know in a week or something like that? And that's very common. Also, there was a fabulous article I read from my friend Paula Munier, or Munay. I'll say her name correctly. Paula Munay had just done an article. Oh, where was it? It was all about how to get to the top of the slush pile. Let's see if I can find it. That's the problem when you see things on social media, you kind of scroll through and then lose them. Let me see if I can find it quickly without making you all wait all day here. Oh, I think it was right here on, Career Authors. So if you go to Career Authors, there is an article, How to Beat the Query Game, The Truth About the Slush Pile. And I thought this was really good. Yes, share. Yes, yes, yes. All right, there's the article. Share. My computer just did another update, and so far it hasn't crashed. So yes. I will email you, share. I'll try from Gmail and see if that helps. So keep an eye out for that. All right, Helene, I hope that helps. Of course, it's very basic, but it has been a while since we've had an agent on the New Shelf Show and on Free Advice Fridays. So I will reach out to a couple of friends and see if I can get on one of their schedules to see about doing a Free Advice Friday with an agent of, open Q&A for agent, and see if we can do that sometime soon. So stay tuned for that. I will keep you guys updated. And if there are any other special guests you would really like to talk about, let me know. I actually have been talking to someone who specializes in PCIP and CIP blocks and cataloging. And I believe I'm going to have them scheduled in the upcoming weeks as well. And I'll try for an agent depending on their schedule. So if there's anyone else, librarians, bookstore owners, yeah, all you can do is ask, and if I can make it happen, I will. If you've got questions you'd love to get directly to a professional in the industry, let me know. You can either drop it in the chat here, or you can always email me, info@newshelves.com. Okie doke. Let's see. Share. How do you feel about doing a Kickstarter before a book launch? I think Kickstarter can be a great tool. I mean, we saw it with Brandon Sanders, who broke the Kickstarter record. I think that if you're doing a Kickstarter, actually Brian Cohen, who does the Amazon Ad Profit Challenge, is currently, I think, doing a Kickstarter for his next book, which is all about email marketing. And what he did is he tied this book launch Kickstarter into a program. So again, what he did here is he offered value, is that if you backed the project, I believe you get your copy of the book early, but also you get access to a email marketing program that he's going to be doing over the course of a month or something like that. So if you're doing a Kickstarter, I think it's great, but I think that you need to really think through what you can offer of value to your backers. Is it the book? And I don't want to make the books not sound fantastic, but is it just the book? Do you have perhaps ebook copies, paperback or hardback copies? Can you offer something else? Is your book in something specialized where you could offer a lecture or a class like Brian's doing? Can you offer something never published before like Brandon Sanders did? Sanderson. But something of value. And you have to kind of think of, you don't have to have a ton of options. I know sometimes we go into Kickstarter and it's like all of this range of 20 different things that you can do on Kickstarter or get. And sure, that's true. And that's fine. But also I think it's one of those things that you don't have to have a ton. I think for Brian's Kickstarter, he's doing one thing, just one. You get the book, you get the program, that's it. And he's doing fantastic. Last time I looked, he'd raised and funded over 10 grand for his upcoming book, which I think is great. Now, of course, he's going to have to pay some of that out in paying for the books and those prizes, but it's also really going to fund his book. So I think Kickstarter can be great, but you really need to make sure that you're curating those rewards to your audience to make sure it's of value, or else what's going to happen is it's not going to fund. It's going to be one of those things where you run a Kickstarter essentially just for the book. And a lot of people are going to go, well, why wouldn't I just wait for the book to come out? I don't want to log into Kickstarter and get my credit card out. I could just go over to Amazon in a month and order it there. My credit card's connected. They know my shipping address. Wham, bam, done. So what makes Kickstarter worth the extra hassle or worth the extra step for your backer? Is it going to be a program? Is it going to be a special book? Is it going to be the only way they can buy it for a limited amount of time or something like that? And you can certainly, yes, share a giveaway, free copies of your backlist. But again, how is that going to appeal to your readers? Is it going to be you get a, you get a 2-for-1 special? So you're getting the ebook copy of my new book and a print book copy of my old book. And that's why it's special. Why is it special? When you're giving away backlists, I think it's fine. I don't think it's a bad idea. But why would they do that versus going over to Amazon and just buying it that way? Is it cheaper for them? And if it's cheaper for them, how are you making a profit? Because we have to keep that in mind as well. After you give your backer their reward, what are you going to actually profit out of it? Because that's the whole point of doing a Kickstarter. So backlist can work, but think about that pretty strategically. Do they get the first advance copies of your new book and an ebook copy of your backlist? That could possibly be it. Do they get your book a month before anybody else? That could be awesome. But also keep in mind that if you're doing that, if you're doing a Kickstarter and you're providing books that way, and you're hoping to launch on Amazon and get a lot of sales on Amazon to hit bestseller ranking or category rankings and things like that, those people have already bought on Kickstarter, so they're not going to buy over on Amazon. That's fine for some people. For some people's goals, that just doesn't matter. But if it's your goal to really rank on Amazon when you launch, to hit a bestseller list or something like that, it's really important to keep that in mind, because that will definitely come into play if you're doing a Kickstarter and you're offering the book for sale through Kickstarter to your eager audience, rather than having them go on launch day and buy it. Again, you'll hear me say all the time, it's not a right answer, it's not a wrong answer. It's a what's right for you and working off of that. Let's see. All right, so we have 2 requests: agents who are looking for memoirs and those who are in fiction. I will see what I can do, you guys. Let's see. So I think, again, I think Kickstarter just depends. It depends on what your intentions are. If your intention is just to make profit and you have something really, really good to give away, then all for it. And that is why when you're giving something exclusive, like you can't buy this book on Amazon. The only way you can get this book is from this limited print run that's available on Kickstarter. And that's the only way you can buy it right now. That will get people to go over there. That's not going to make you a bestseller in USA Today or on Amazon or anything else, but it could make you an awful lot of money. So again, it's all about your goals and how that works out. Let's see, I'm going to go back to my questions from last week just to make sure we answered those. But if you have more questions, drop them in the Q&A. Book award submissions we did. All right. And we answered the question about the sales thing. The only other question I see is kind of how soon is too soon to start promoting your next book launch? I don't think it's ever too soon to start promoting your next book launch, but I do think that we should work in stages, meaning when our book is 6 months out, absolutely start telling people about it, start letting it leak out. Or maybe you post a the end post when you finish writing it and you're like, hey, I finished my book, it's coming and it's exciting, and you're drawing that out. And then you kind of wait until you've got your cover, and then you do a cover reveal and a pre-order link. And then as it gets closer, you ramp it up with a blog tour. I think what's important is not when you start, as far as starting too early. I think what's important is that you don't overwhelm. So if you were starting to talk about your book launch 6 months out, I think it's very important that you kind of drop little hints about it, but you don't post about it every day, because then if you do that, for 3-6 months, if you were posting every single day about your upcoming book launch and you were just kind of going at it again and again and again, by the time your book comes out, people are going to be tired of it. Your book is going to come out and people will be tired of it. So it's really important that you slowly have that build up, that you drop in the, little bits here and there along with other everyday life. Here at Your Shelves, we have the 80-20 rule. 80% of your post should be helpful, fun, engaging. 20% can be about yourself and your book promotion, about your actual sales, or something you want people to buy. So the 80-20 rule very much, but also you've really got to slowly lead up so that you can build the excitement over time. And yes, the month of launch, you're going to talk about it more. You're going to post about it more. You're going to have teasers. You're going to have blog tours. You're going to do all sorts of things, but you have to have that slow build up. I had it once, someone once said, oh, like a crock pot. And I was like, I guess so. Yes, like a crock pot. You need to turn it on low and let it heat up until you're ready to serve it. And that's kind of, yes, if that analogy works for you, like a crock pot. Let's see. And Bob's saying, my publicist gave me a 4-month schedule if it helps to hear something specific. Yeah, for sure, Bob. I think anything like that is great. Anything you're willing to share is awesome. And 4 months is about it. Now, again, this is all dependent. A traditional book, you have that book available and the cover and everything done 4 months out because you're submitting for professional trade reviews. So it also depends on how early your book is available. Some self-published and indie authors have their files for all of 3 weeks before their book comes out, so they don't have as much to share, but you can still build up in other ways, bring it in, little endorsements as you're getting endorsements and reviews, share those out, share little tidbits about your characters, sharing. I know Felice, who's on the call, she's so good about doing her homework after our consulting calls, and I just love it. But I asked her, I was like, all right, I want you to go through your manuscript and I want you to just pull out parts that you think would make good quotes, or parts that you could make a little couple of word graphic about, and then expand a little bit and tell us a little bit more about the story, not as a spoiler to your book, but as a teaser for your book. We often think of book trailers, which are great. I think if you have a book trailer, that's something you can kind of seed in, but also we can build that kind of visual trailer by starting to tell a little bit of the storyline. Or, I never thought I'd write this book, but I had to, not for anyone else, but for me. And maybe there's a little quote there. People like to be included along the way in the story because they will rally behind you and feel like they are part of that story, part of your book, and part of your launch. So all of that build up for sure. Let's see. I keep hearing about Facebook ads. Would you recommend them for children's books? Yes, Pat, I would. I do for Facebook ads. I really love Facebook ads for series. First book in series, I like Facebook ads, especially books that are on Kindle Unlimited, because if you're on Facebook, you're not necessarily looking to spend money, but if it's free and you can just download it on Kindle Unlimited and you get over to the site, you're likely to do that. So Kindle Unlimited books, I like Facebook ads. If you have a series, first book in series, whether it's paid or not, I like Facebook ads. Although I do think your conversion will go up if the book is, the ebook in particular, is inexpensive or on Kindle Unlimited. And I love them for children's books. And the reason why is because parents and grandparents are on Facebook. They're on Facebook, they're browsing around, and this is where they're hanging out now. Especially with a lot of people still kind of staying inside, that kind of thing. Facebook is where these groups are hanging out. And if you can get in front of them, same thing for teachers and things like that. And even though you're not necessarily intending to spend money on Facebook, when it comes to our kids, or our grandkids or our nieces and nephews, we lose all common sense where it comes to budget. And so that's what happens. We're like, oh yeah, my niece's birthday is coming up next month, so I should just grab that book now that I'll put in my basement and forget about, buy her 3 other presents, and then she'll make out like a bandit. Yes, I do that. I am guilty. But so I love Facebook ads for children's books. I think that it's a great way to capture that audience, and you don't have to be super expensive. Now, I will say I have seen authors who run Facebook ads for hundreds of dollars a day. And they do make that money back. That's why they spend that much, is because they're making that money back. But not everyone does. I typically recommend that Facebook ads, you start low, start with $2 a day, $3 a day, but run that ad for a longer period. I'm seeing more and more that ads that run for a long time on Facebook actually perform better. I am now setting my ads to run at least 30 days when I'm trying them out, because I've seen them kind of build up momentum, especially if people are liking or commenting and that kind of thing. So I do recommend Facebook ads. I recommend you run them. Start $2 to $3 a day, but run it for 30 days. So we're talking about 60 to 90 bucks to see if it works. And of course, you're going to be able to track the clicks. And when you link directly to a sales site. Do not link to your website and say you can buy it anywhere here. Do not link to like some third-party site. Go directly to the sales spot. And I will say Amazon is easiest. Why? Because most people have an Amazon account. So most people have an Amazon account, so they can click directly to Amazon. They're all signed in and they can click buy. There are not that many clicks. You click from Facebook over to Amazon, from the Amazon page to the buy button. If we are giving them more clicks, you are more likely to lose people. The more click options people have and the more we expect them to click through something, the more audience members will fall off and the less conversion you will see. Because if I click from Facebook and I go to your website, and then from your website, I have to click on your book page. And then from your book page, I have to decide where I want to buy the book and click it there. And then I have to click the buy button. You lost me back over on your website. So that's something to consider. And I know you guys requested a how-to video on how to build a Facebook audience. I did not forget, it is on my schedule, so I'm going to work on that for you soon. Facebook has just made some changes on what you can and can't target. So I had an older one, but I want to make sure I do a really fresh one for you guys. So I will create a video on how to create a Facebook audience, and I will get that up on YouTube. So if you're not subscribed to the New Shelves YouTube, I highly recommend that you do that, because that's where that will be going up, and I will drop the link in our chat box, but you can also find us just at youtube.com/newshelvesbooks. All right. And Kate's asking, Publisher Weekly has never responded to me as an indie or to a publishing house representing a book. What to do? Kate, my question would be, if you are submitting to Publishers Weekly as an indie, are you going through Book Life? Because that is the only way they accept indie submissions. You have to create a Book Life account. So you create a Book Life account, and from your Book Life account, you can submit for a Publishers Weekly review. Doesn't mean you'll get it, but you can submit that way, and it can take weeks to months, but they do eventually respond to you and let you know whether or not your book was accepted. So I think that's important to note, is that if you're an indie and you're trying to submit directly to Publishers Weekly, they will not accept your submission. It in fact just gets kind of tossed out. So you must go through the channel of Book Life to make that happen. Let me see if I can. Oop, not that way. I know you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm doing something, rest assured. Whether I'm doing it right or wrong or questionable, we won't talk about that part. I did it right. Not to brag, but I'm going to brag. All right, so I wanted to just show you guys. I will share my screen now. All right. I just wanted to show you guys excuse me, what that looks like. Let's see. Yes, it does, Tara. That's a great note. A book has to be submitted prior to publication. It must be submitted 3 months prior to publication for your best chance of getting a shot at a Publishers Weekly review. And we actually, one of our Free Advice Friday members, Rick Lenz, and his wife Linda, had gotten a Publishers Weekly review for Rick's book Hello Rest of My Life. Gosh, was that a year ago already? I don't know. It wasn't that long ago. So it does happen. You can get a Publishers Weekly review. They did let them know. They do not email you. They do it all through the email system. So that's important as well. So let me just share over though. Yeah, we've got some minutes left. All right. If you go to booklife.com, booklife.com is for the indie side. You can create a free account. So you can just go right in, you can create a free account and do that. And then what you have to do is you add a project. So you can create a new project, and then you put the information in. So, you can kind of do tests and do that, or you can search by your ISBN or ASIN. Hopefully you're doing this at least 90 days in advance. So you first go through and you add your project. Or you find out how to, get out of this part. There are so many pop-ups on my screen. It's because I just cleared everything, so it's trying to accept cookies. Well, I would like to go back. Look, I'm stuck. This is how I struggle, guys. I didn't have my coffee yet. Here, I'll go back to a different screen. All right, so first you have to get a free Book Life account. Then you must create a project. Once you create the project, which is your book, which should be coming out it needs to be about 90 days or further out. So, 3 months in advance. Then once you do that, you will see here, right here, where it says get your book reviewed, Publishers Weekly and Book Life. And then you will see down here, and I'll pull it back up, that it gives you the options. The price for a Publisher Weekly review is free. It's free to submit. Is it guaranteed? It is not guaranteed. Does it appear in Publishers Weekly? Sure does. Is it written by Publishers Weekly reviewers? Yes, it is. And this is an awesome opportunities for indies, but you must do it through Book Life, not going directly to them, not emailing them. It must be through Book Life. Now, Book Life Review is the indie arm of Publishers Weekly, and this is paid. So I often say try for a free Publishers Weekly review. If you don't get accepted, then go over and you may consider the paid Book Life review. Just know that a Publishers Weekly review is credited to Publishers Weekly. A Book Life review is credited to Book Life. And when in the industry, I'm not saying the reviews are not credible. I'm not saying that they're not worth it. I am saying that in the industry, when we see a Book Life review, we know that you paid for that review and it was guaranteed you were going to get a review. So it's not quite as prestigious as a Publishers Weekly review. We know that you paid for it and that you had to get one. Now, what they say for either negative or positive is completely up to that reviewer. I will say Book Life paid reviews tend to be more on the positive side, whereas if you go somewhere like Kirkus, you can do a Kirkus paid review, and Kirkus does not care if you paid $500 or not. They can still give you a hard, awful review. I've had some authors who have actually submitted for a Kirkus review, and once you get the review, you can decide whether or not to publish it. And I have seen such awful, horrible, harsh reviews that they rather eat that $500 cost and not have a Kirkus review than to publish it. So just know that at the same time, because Kirkus can be so harsh, even though it's a paid review, in the industry, we consider that when we're looking at a review and how legitimate it is and how much social proof it offers. Anyway, a little tangent there. $3.99 for Book Life review. It is guaranteed. It does appear in Publishers Weekly under Book Life section. It is written by Publishers Weekly reviewers. It is 3 paragraphs, about 300 words, plus some marketing insights. So it'll say, you know, great for readers of this and that kind of thing, which is great. It's a great tool. It's a great opportunity, as long as you know what you're getting out of it and you know that it's not quite the same as Publishers Weekly. But again, Publishers Weekly, you have to apply in advance, 90 days at least, and you can order one, and you simply hit the order one button. You follow out, you know, through the opportunity. It does track here, so you will see it was received, and then they'll let you know. This one is from March and they still haven't responded. That doesn't mean it's a no. They could contact us next week and say, oh, hey, your Publishers Weekly review is alive. That is actually what happened with Rick Lenz. We're like, oh, there's a review there. So it can take a really long time. They are very backed up. And that's something to know. But if you're hoping as an indie, as a self-published author for a Publishers Weekly review, you must go through Book Life. It's free to get an account, and it is also free to submit. So those are the things that you should know. Let's see. Who do I recommend to print a special edition gilded hardback? If I were looking for any special edition print, I would be going first to local book printers. You can do just a quick, excuse me, you can just do a quick search of local printers that you can do. There's also a list, I believe, on IBPA has a list. I think Ally might have a list, and actually my assistant Catherine has been working on a list of printers as well that we hope to get up on the blog and website soon. But I always say start local, because no matter, number one, check the pricing local, support local, but also if you're not paying a bunch of shipping costs, it may actually be cheaper for you to go to a local printer. And you may be surprised if you do a quick Google search what options really are very local to you. So that's where I would start and then work from there. And Tara's saying that they use King printing for custom hardcover. They did a great job and had lots of options, which is great. I love special edition hardcovers. All right, you guys, it's right at the top of the hour. It's right at 11 o'clock. So I think we got all of our questions answered. Thanks for joining me once again this week. You guys are awesome. If you have questions we didn't get answered, please feel free to email them over info@newshelves.com. We will be here next week, same time, same place, 10 a.m. Eastern at newshelves.com/FAF. And we hope to see you there. Bye, guys. Have a great weekend.